final game. It's a 1-for-1 between BZmen and Vengeance. It's going to come down right to the neck and neck, it seems. Both very ending games in very similar styles, with Team BZmen just really dragging that last siege out, whereas Team Vengeance, once they got that lead, they were just so aggressive. They just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed that advantage, just essentially forcing that win to go down as quickly as possible. So we see the Eve ban once more, along with the Nunu in this patch being so very, very strong, able to just come up, use that consume to eat through creeps, and the Elise ban comes out as well, probably because they don't want to see the sheer number of stuns she was landing that last game, just able to line those stuns together. So Twisted Fate coming out as well. Again, another forced counter they didn't like to see. They saw that Twisted Fate in previous games. They probably didn't want to see it again. The fact that he managed to do so well against the Cassidin in a previous game, they just don't want to see it. So Thresh banned out. Fairly common ban. Thresh at the moment, very strong, very good at playing any really style he wants. And Janna comes out as well. Janna being so strong at peeling in these games, they just don't want that to be a factor. They want to be able to get on that AD carry a bit more. So the Jarvan comes straight out. Jarvan's been a fairly consistent pick throughout a lot of teams, for the fact that he can generally build however he wants. He can try to build as slightly more damagey, he can build as pure tank, and generally still be a threat. I mean, the problem with Jarvan usually is his ultimate. Trying to make sure that you get those ultimates off in a way that's going to help your team, but not allow the enemy team to get an advantage off of it. You need to try and make sure that they're still vulnerable in that circle. So the Lulu Ezreal pick. So Lulu is able to act as very much a double standard. She can be very aggressive, but she can also do quite well with Ezreal, allowing him to poke fairly well, allowing him to get those shields. She has the CC, she has the slow. She can peel for him fantastically well in combination with the W and the ultimate. So just the combination of the two, especially with Sovereign often opting for that blue build as build, just going to be able to protect him and allow him to get those mystic shots off, get as much damage going off as he possibly can, while doing it fairly safely. So the Vayne Singe. Vayne again, if you can protect the Vayne throughout the game, it's very difficult to try and play against that. If they can successfully protect Vayne for long enough time, Vayne is going to start killing people. It's one of those things it's very difficult to stop. As she does that true damage, as she has such high base damage, and she's got fairly high mobility, it's very difficult to try and pin her down long enough to take her out. Singed, again, is able to use that fling to peel, use the slow, use that poison damage to slowly start ticking people down, but really try and push out lanes with poison. He's fairly safe, just building consistently tanky. So the Sejuani pick. Sejuani is a fantastic counter initiator. So with that AoE stun ultimate, she's able to just, again, protect her team from really any attempted engagements that come across. She's able to basically say, if you're going to come in, I'm going to stun you, my team's going to get hits off on you for free. And the Rumble pick. Rumble's going to try and push the Singed out of lane. He's going to try and bully him out. He's going to try, in team fights, to try and land those ultimates, try and hold them on them, and the Fiddlestick's being brought out. So it's most likely going to... No, changing his mind, deciding to go for Zac instead. Zac he's a very AoE presence, he's extremely tanky, very well sustained throughout either the lane or the jungle, no matter where they decide to put him. He's able to just keep his health up. He's able to do fantastic engages with his elastic slingshot. It's got such a massive range to it that he can really stand out the way, bait people in, and get on top of them. And electing to go for the Orianna once more. The Orianna Fiddlesticks combination. Deciding to go for the Fiddle. So, Fiddle Ultimate is ridiculously powerful. It's got a large ratio to it. It does a lot of base damage. Fiddle in the jungle is rather fast, rather extremely sustained once he's got a couple of rounds of his drain. Just able to bounce through the jungle. But going for that Orianna again after the last game, it seems very risky. She got really beaten out last game. And then Lissandra picked up. Lissandra able to either self-Zhonya's or stun someone for a significant duration. Able to really get away from things. Really good at essentially locking people down. It's gonna make things extremely difficult. Actually opting for the Fiddle support. It's a very interesting choice. With Fiddle Ultimate having such a high base value, you can afford to not really go for so much of an AP build. He can afford to go this support build with the long duration of fear, with his ability to sustain and the silences to try and play it. He's going to be a very aggressive bot lane. Fiddle doesn't tend to do very well at being passive. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they try and win out that lane. And how Orianna is going to fare against the likes of Lissandra.
User left your channel.
As we begin to get into this game, it's going to be very interesting to see if any sort of funny business happens again. They've realised last time that having Nocturne, not really going for any major level 1 plays, didn't really work in their favour, based on just that first gank. Just the fact that Syndra was able to get that big lead. So it'll be interesting to see if either team decides maybe we should be more aggressive to start with. There's the winning is on the line here, so they need to play much more of both ways. They need to play more offensively and more defensively together. They need to be more coordinated with each other and making sure that they know what each other wants to do and how they want to go about trying to win this game. So we see immediately pinging on into the jungle generally means I want to invade. I want to try and get into the jungle and try to take stuff.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
They're just in these places, just making sure, putting the ward down here, preventing anything from coming on in through this area without them knowing about it. They're marking the fact it's been warded. But only with that 1 minute fiddle ward.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
With the proper ward being placed down here, just Rumble making sure there's nothing, that they don't come up through this point. It's very much like they're just gonna settle into their own jungle, so they're not gonna try any funny business this time. They're gonna go for the AD carry support bot lanes. They're gonna go for the top laners this time. They're gonna try to play straight up. They're gonna try and win in straight up play rather than go for anything that's necessarily, cheesy. They're gonna try and give Sejuani the blue as quickly as possible, and they're gonna try and really allow her to get some good hopefully some good ganks off. So the normal blue pulls go singed, taking a little bit of damage from it, but it's singed. He knows he can afford to. Rumble just coming on through, placing his ward down to make sure the ganks aren't coming for him. And just Moxie's on into lane. Orianna immediately being aggressive, trying to use the passive, so the more auto attacks she does, she can land in succession the more damage she does. Trying to just pressure them out slightly. Sejuani opting to go straight for her red, as she the smoker's pull, and the same thing going ahead with Josh. Rumble just playing it safe, taking shield at level 1. Just playing nice and safe, trying to poke him down where he can, but trying to generally not too much aggression to start with. Being rather aggressive, the fiddle silence, depending on the bounces, can really hurt lanes. If most of the bounces tend to land on players, it can be really nasty. Just using that feed just to disrupt, trying to get initial damage off. Luna coming in, trying to get this stuff off, but Ezreal can't really fight back because that silence keeps landing on him. Just the back and forth going on top. Singe just realising that Rumble doesn't really have a super advantage other than the fact that Rumble isn't going to suffer in terms of mana in the same way that Singed is. So Singed is just going to try and push up, try and get some pressure on, try and win the lane that way. The Ignite going down on Singed. Rumble just unable to do anything, gets himself into the position of being unable to cast due to being overheated. Sejuani looks to try and make a play bottom, but her team just say there's nothing's going to happen down here. You can't really afford to. So very similar in terms of CS, especially in terms of each lane. with the Orianna actually starting to win out ever so slightly in mid. But she is out of mana, with Lissandra getting that free spell cast every 18 seconds, really helping her out. Jarvan looks to make the gank up top. Rumble's being baited in, gets ignited. It's currently unable to cast, can't really do anything. Goes down to Jarvan for first blood. It's a big advantage for Singed, as he can just then go back, get whatever items he wants. He can push this up. There's not really a lot that anyone can do about it. So Jarvan's going to see this Sejuani, know that she's there, so it allows Orianna to really swap sides, make sure that she's not going to get ganked by Sejuani anytime soon. While Fiddle continually being aggressive bot lane, with that fear, with that very frustrating silence going on, being able to just line up free damage onto people, trying to silence Ezreal so he can't use those mystic shots to really get back at them. It's really damage that they can't really afford to take. They're just now collapsing in on Fiddle. Fiddle getting ignited, doing a lot of damage, and he may go down. Just surviving with just a tiny little bit of health. And they actually Vayne managed to turn it around on the Ezreal, almost going down himself, managing to take him down. Very well played from Vayne. Realising that they used everything to take down try and take down Fiddle, but in the end they just couldn't finish him. Singed opting for that tier, trying to get it filled up, going for the similar build we saw before, where he built very AP oriented, but because he's building so much mana, he's able to retain his tankiness. Base from massive. Just a very even mid lane going on between Orianna and Lissandra. Just each just casually farming, just using their abilities to assist them when they farm. Singe just pushing the waves out, realising that Rumble's going to be slightly behind in gold after that. He's behind in experience. Singe is going to be able to activate his ult, flip him over, just get some free damage off. He's just going to try and harass, being as annoying as he possibly can, while trying to build up these tier stacks. He's already managed to build up almost 100 stacks out of that 750. Just going to be incredibly annoying. Build up that mana, build up his tankiness, really. Try and be as frustrating as possible. Someone is forced to come and deal with him. Orianna almost taken down by Lissandra. Lissandra using all of her cooldowns at level 6 to try and take her down, is just unable to. Blue buff being given off to Lissandra, allowing her to really try and bring that dominance up, allowing her to spam her spells that bit more than Orianna for a while, and try and put some damage down. Singed just elected to go back, realising he's got his tier to 150 stacks, refill that mana, get some resistance, get another ward together, and just continue to push into Rumble. Rumble being at 48 stacks. He's ahead of Singe, but that first blood, that 200 gold is really going to keep Singe going. And he's only going to get tankier just because of that tier. Tier being one of those stacking up items that takes a little while. It takes a while to become gold efficient. Showing that they know what the other team's doing, what they're trying to do. So Orianna electing to try and boost her CS just by trying to farm up those wraiths, removing the gold from a jungler and trying to give it to herself. But this is warded. Sejuani, they know Sejuani's there. This is a similar gank to what really backfired last time. So So the Orianna just being forced to flash just by that Lissandra combination, just really forcing that 5-minute cooldown is just worth it in itself. That means Sejuani's going to be able to come in later and really try and collapse down on her, as that flash is no longer a valid escape method. So Fiddle just being very strong in this role at the moment, just helping protect Vayne, being able to use that really long length fear, maxing it first, really trying to stop it, and they've managed to get the kill down on Orianna, really managed to damage her down with that combination, both ults being used, just being able to smash down onto her, realising that that flash is down, and there's not really a lot they can do to retaliate. So Jarvan's been spotted by the ward down bottom, and is just going to back off. Rumble and Singe, they just continue to, they're trying to bully each other out of lane. Singe is going to be able to take some more damage, just because he's going to get tanked over time. He's going to keep going back. He's going to keep refilling that tier. It's almost half filled now. Really trying to make sure that item is worth its amount of gold. And they just Fiddle tries to ult in on the Ezreal, just forcing that flash away. Again, the 5-minute cooldown just being worth it because Fiddle ultimate is going to be back on. Way before. Sejuani basically baiting in the Jarvan, realising that there's not really a lot that's going to happen here. And Vayne, in a very precarious position, having to tumble away, really trying to get away. He's forced to use that flash, but managed to get Vayne out. They managed to keep everybody alive. Meanwhile, Singe, high aggression on Rumble, forcing that flash, continuing on, just trying to get that, trying to kill him off. Really trying to force him. Really aggressive play going on here. Singe being taken really low from tower shots, and it's going to be forced to retreat. Rumble almost being killed off himself. Jarvan initiating onto that Lulu, forcing Lulu to flash. Another 5-minute cooldown. Almost all the flashes are really being used just to try and get away. Lissandra just trying to push up mid, trying to keep Orianna boxed in as much as possible. It's much closer game than the previous weeks. No one's really making any super aggressive plays. They're just trying to play extreme straight up. They're just trying to farm. They're trying to get themselves together. And in terms of that, neither of them are really gaining an advantage. Just being 500 gold in. Lissandra really trying to roam around, but the wards are really preventing her from doing so. They realise that there's not really a lot that she can do if she's been spotted out. Sejuani also being spotted out, being caught way out of position by Jarvan, by Orianna. He's going to be forced to use that flash, forced to use the Q as well. Singe is going to start coming down, preventing that Rumble from giving her a hand, and she may go down to this. There's not really a lot she can do. Forced to use that ultimate to try and get away. Jarvan lands the knockup. She's killed mid-air, trying to get away. Very well done, trying to really pincer her in. She was trying to make a play with Lissandra, but Lissandra was heavily not in position for it. So they managed to catch Sejuani completely off guard, completely out of position, and just collapsed in on her. Lissandra just trying to snipe off that blue buff, realising that none of them really have any mana, but in the end just not being able to. Singe just continuing to farm up that tier, trying to play out Rumble, as Rumble is building extremely aggressively, while Singe is still building extremely tanky, trying to build up those tier stacks. Now at 2/3 of the way, he's going to start getting extremely tanky, just based on that alone. trying to be baited up here. Seems he's trying to get him to try and come in towards this Jarvan. I'm not sure if he sees him or not, but he will. He's going to see him now. Since immediately popping that ult, trying to keep him out of this ultimate. Since realising he's slightly low, he's got that ignite on him. He's probably going to go down. Goes down. Can Jarvan actually pick up this kill? Rumble, with that slow, with that shield, going to be able to really hold around, and Jarvan manages to clean up the kill. So, a 1-for-1 exchange was slightly worth it, more for the blue team, just for that assist gold. And the fact that Jarvan's able to then push up this way, really try and deny some extra CS. And you can see, blue team really starting to pull ahead, slightly on gold. They're just able to keep farming. They're just keeping everything ticking over. Vayne being able to, really pushing down this turret, they may be able to just flat out take it. The threat of the fiddle support, that really long CC, managing to keep Lulu at bay and prevent them from really doing anything. And as you can see, the 2k lead now starting to come in for blue, with Lissandra even pushing up even further. With that E escape, she can afford to be incredibly aggressive. As they're going to try and make a play for Dragon here. Lulu realises this, realises that they've got no wards up in this area. They can't really see exactly what's going on, and they don't know exactly how many members are available. One is still top, so Red Team can't really come in and contest this. And just the speed in which it's been taken, it just can't really compete for it. And now the lead begins to approach the Kenga. It managed to catch Lissandra way out of position. She's forced to hold herself, but she's able to get away just with the help of Lulu. Unfortunately, many of the members of the blue team just out of position. Fiddle ultimate coming in rather late, not really able to really do anything, really getting hammered down, and he's going to go down himself. He's ending up as currently the 2-for-1 exchange. The ultimate comes down from Jarvan, but he's going to end up going down himself. Lulu really trying to fend off Vayne. Vayne's going to have to come in and have to try and... Unfortunately, chose the wrong target. Needed to come in for Rumble. Rumble's now just going to try and kill her off himself. Vayne manages to kill him off, and it ends up being a 4-for-2 exchange, massively in favour of Red Team. But the gold deficit just brought to around 2k. So teamfight generally coming in favour of Vengeance. And they're going to try and balance this out even further by trying to take down this mid turret, which she should be able to. And that balances out the gold just to 1.5k. Singed up top, just continuing to keep stacking that tier, nearly done, building that a bit. What I can only presume is an abyssal scepter. Just continually being a nuisance, keeping waves farmed, but still slightly behind Rumble in terms of farm. And Rumble did just pick up an extremely large number of kills, which means he did just get a considerable amount of gold and a 1k lead on Singed. Singed is going to have to be incredibly careful around him, just knowing he's got that lead. A similar style lead coming in for Vayne over Ezreal. So trying to essentially protect the Vayne, keep the Vayne fed, keep her going, and just try and let her do some work in team fights. As Vayne is that really fantastic carry. Vayne being caught out of position there, somehow in the Jarvan ultimate. Lulu ultimate, trying to come out of such a way, trying to keep tanking. Jarvan manages to pick up the kill. Just the damage coming out of Vayne is astronomical, just chunking everyone down. Trying to make sure that Lissandra's coming in, trying to finish off these kills. Jarvan's in a really bad spot here. I'm unsure why he's trying to push it. He's going to go down to it. And they're not going to be able to pick up the Lissandra. She's just going to get away on about 20 HP. As blue team are going to push up this mid, they should be able to take the turret fairly uncontested. So, all in all, a very, very brilliant exchange for Blue just taking down 3 members, losing one in a potentially unfortunate engage, but then coming back and getting that additional tower, bringing that gold back up to a 3k deficit. Great play. As you can see, Fiddle, with this support build, isn't really going to be doing very much damage in his ultimate. He's mainly focusing on his CC here, trying to essentially make sure he's able to peel for Vayne, to let Vayne do the large amounts of damage we saw her doing in this bottom fight. Ezreal just trying to push up, trying to keep his farm going, perhaps try and snag this tower, see if he can balance that gold back out. While Jarvan and Fiddle decide to come up with Singe, try and take this top tower, try and push that gold lead even further, while Ezreal is forced to back away from bot lane, while Vayne is able to just come in and get that farm going from her. Meanwhile, Lissandra just pushing up, saying, if you're going to push up top, I'm going to push up mid. I'm going to make sure that you're not able to pressure anywhere else at this point. Just trying to get as much CS as I possibly can, and try and see if there's anyone I can pull out of position at this point. Fiddle, being noticed out of position, is going to get double ulted on. Doesn't realise, forced to use his flash. Lissandra's going to use a combination to come in. Manages to land the fear just before she gets her combo off, and manages to get out alive. Very well done by the Fiddle there, realising, taking a second to realise, hang on, I didn't actually recall, getting the flash away, but managing to stop Lissandra from getting a combo definitely saved his life. The 5 members of the red team just pushing on in mid, realising that they can't straight up fight at the moment. They realise they almost killed the Fiddle 6, yes, but they realise they're slightly behind, having to play extremely cautiously. Realising that dragon's going to be up again soon, so they want to try and contest it as much as possible. Get those wards down, know what's going on, what's going on where, and just try to play fairly safely. Singe now, with that Abyssal Sector, with that fully charged tier, you're going to be starting to get rather tanky. With the large amounts of magic damage, the Rumble, the Sejuani, and the Lissandra. So Dragon's come back up. It's largely pink warded by the blue team, 3 pink wards protecting it, trying to really make sure that this is theirs. They're going to try and make sure that all the gold they can possibly get is theirs, and that the red team really can't contest it. But unfortunately, taking large amounts of poke is really going to help overcome that gold difference.
User in your channel timed out.
So they're just kind of back and forthing, trying to bait each other to try and take it, try and kill it off immediately. Managed to catch Lissandra. She's going to be able to ult herself though, do a fairly considerable amount of damage in doing so. Catching the Singe, locking Singed in, making sure he can't do anything. Ezreal being able to pick off Singe. This fight's going massively again in favour of the red team. They just have a stronger fight. They aren't able to peel for Vayne. They keep separating from her. When what they need to do is just make sure that no one's able to hit on Vayne. Keep Rumble in check. Rumble is doing vast amounts of damage to their team. And there's not really an answer for it. There's not really a great amount of magic resistance being built to try and compensate. So they're just going to try and push the lanes up now, try and get some ward coverage back from their team. The ward coverage largely being around here. There are so many wards. Red team just having that stronger team fight if they can catch hold of Vayne, bringing that gold deficit essentially to 5k. Very well done, very well coordinated Dragon, and they managed to actually, for the first time in the game, bring themselves up to a gold advantage by about 50 gold. So managing to really bring themselves back in really need to try and make sure that they don't lose this lead, and they need to keep team fighting. That's where they're picking up these gold advantages. They need to keep fighting. They need to keep coming in, saying, this is the fight we want to be in. We're going to be in these fights. We're going to make sure we win them, and we're going to fight on our terms. Although really just needing to get as much gold on this Vayne as possible. Trying to make sure this Singed is tanky enough to come in, do damage, but at the same time he needs to peel for Vayne. They all do. They need to make sure Vayne really is their sole purpose to be there. Dealing some damage to themselves is obviously a necessity, but Vayne is the one they really need to keep a hold of. They need to make sure she's safe. She's their main source of damage. So Lissandra, protecting that ward, realising that if she can hit Baron, Baron's going to hit the closest target, which is likely to be the person de-warding. It's very much turned into a stalemate. Neither team really wants to just flat out engage. They just want to try and get the fights in on their ground. It needs to be on their turf when they want to. Ward's really playing such a large portion of this game. I mean, Blues have no idea that most of the team backed off just to give Lissandra blue. If they had known it, they would have been able to try and engage on Sejuani, who was hanging around in mid, giving that, feigning the fact that her team's behind her, really. Trying to bait, potentially using herself as bait. Lissandra just sitting off at the sides, trying to use her E to try and get over things, to try and really get away from the things that are trying to stop her. She's really building a lot of damage. That magic resistance that's available isn't really going to help the enemy team. They may be building magic resistance, but it's going to be largely negated by the Void Staff. It's just this massive stalemate. None of the teams are really willing to engage because they don't know what else is going on. They don't know where other members of the team are. They realise that Singed was just top, so it would have been a fantastic advantage to try and get in, but they just weren't in position to do so. And now they have Singed. He's coming back down. He's coming back down to get into team fights with his team, but there's not a great deal they can do. They must be able to see the Ezreal now porting. They must realise that someone else is going to have gone back, and it's the time to try and make something happen. Lulu's still back in base. If they're quick to try and make a play happen, they can. There's multiple opportunities if they can just keep vision up long enough to try and get what's going on. Try and get the drop on them. Trying to really catch someone who's not in a position where they can fight. So Lulu with this Oracle's just gonna come through to Baron, just gonna completely clean it out. Try and get some wards down there for herself. Try and make sure that they can't Baron, and that any Baron attempts are theirs. And they're gonna try and bait them into this. Orianna completely face checking. What was she thinking? Absolutely no ward coverage. Didn't even put the ball in first. Just flat out face checks it. And the enemy team should be able to take Baron for this, really. Instead, opting just to go for the straight up team fight. Fiddle manages to get his ult off. Sandra's in a bit of a precarious position between all the partners, forcing the ultimate himself, managing to kill Jarvan with it, managing to continually damage, but then take him down himself. And it's now this 3-for-3 fight. Ezreal's just trying to kite, trying to make sure Singed can't do anything. Whereas Vayne's just doing large amounts of damage with Ryzen combination. anyone's favour. The gold is still extremely close together. Blue team really managed to pull that back based on that massive Orianna fail that occurred. She really just walked into so many of them, just got burst down instantly. It was just such a simple mistake. Not something you'd be expecting to see this late on in a very tight game. Lulu just trying to make use of this Oracle, try and make sure that there's no wards left. As Blue team perfectly content to just try and push down to this dragon, try and get that extra bit of gold. As Red they just have no idea what she's doing, what they're doing. They're just backing off at locations. We're really only just starting to notice that they're actually taking dragon now, and it's almost dead. Ezreal fires his ult, trying to do it a little bit too early. Decided taking large amounts of getting in there home, not even managing to ult herself, actually using it on somebody else. Just about managing to keep Fiddlesticks just about survived. A lot of them fairly low. Going to be forced to back off, but it's going to be the dragon and the kill coming out for the blue team, gaining a slight advantage out of that, gaining about essentially 2k gold worth of lead. Vayne just really being able to hammer out large amounts of damage if they can keep people off of her. Bulwark being finished for Jarvan is really a massive advantage, as Sejuani's not even managed to pick up the Aegis just yet. So the fact that the Jarvan's team is that much tankier really is starting to play into fights that are largely AoE based. Doing the Baron dance as usual, you know, trying to fight for that vision over the Baron, trying to make sure that if the opportunity comes where they get a slight advantage, they're able to just swoop in, grab that Baron as quickly as possible, with knowledge that they don't really have anything to really contest it. So 2 wards being placed onto Baron at the moment. Lulu removing that pink ward up top. And Sejuani just going to go, just try and push this lane up, try and remove some of the pressure. Well, Fiddle just comes in with that Oracle, clears both those wards, and just trying to make sure Baron is theirs if they choose to try and bait them in towards it. Lulu, unfortunately, with the Oracle just running out, unable to actually take down this ward, so was unable to actually keep de-warding. Ezreal able to just trying to fire out Mystic Shots, trying to see what's going on, whereas 2 of them are now pushing mid, trying to take down Vayne, but Vayne managing to use that flash to keep herself away. They actually managed to get the counter engaged, actually almost managed to kill the Sandra. The damage coming out of Vayne is so high, they managed to take down Rumble in just a couple of hits. Now they're trying to get down onto this blue Ezreal, really trying to take him down. He's almost dead. Manages to take him down with a last minute crit from Vayne. This is going to be a free Baron for them. As they have vision, they've managed to get a 3-for-0 exchange, and instead of changing their mind, deciding we're going to go for the towers instead. Deciding just to keep pushing, trying to break the line that they never were able to before. They really struggled in their previous win to really try and get into the enemy base, but they've managed to this time. They're managing to get the inhibitor, and they're just going to freely back out from here. Nothing they can really do. Lissandra and Rumble were so caught out of place, trying to take down that Vayne. Vayne very well to get out, but to remain close by enough to actually come back, get those combos off, make sure that she's doing so much damage to them that there's not really anything the enemy can do. Vayne just having that combination of the Blade of the Ruined King, the Phantom Dancer and the Last Whisper, just shredding anyone. Red team, realising this is going to come behind, make a very risky play, they decide to go for the Baron. The Fiddle ultimate comes out, Singed, just trying to block Ezreal off from coming in, realising he's far away. They manage to take down the Lissandra. The Rumble's getting extremely low. Ezreal's managing to nearly kill off the Singed. CC on the Ezreal just doing so much. Fiddle doing so well to heal. Just allowing Vayne to come in and deal these massive amounts of damage. Just kill her off. Kill people off. This Vayne is just really preventing the enemy team from being able to do anything. Didn't even get to go back to bio that previous fight. Now carrying 2.2k gold out of that 12k. Carrying a sixth of her gold around in her purse. Just going around saying, I can kill you. If you don't kill me, I'm gonna ace your team. They're just not able to get on top of their main damage source. Lissandra keeps trying, but keeps being stopped every time, being forced to use that ultimate defensively. And it's really starting to hurt the red team. Keep trying to do this. The threat of Baron really being used here, forcing the red team to feel as though they needed to go and take Baron. It's why a lot of LCS teams were saying that they really didn't want to fall into what they referred to as the noob trap in Baron. That Baron is such an important buff, you don't want to be baited into it, and you don't really have an advantage large enough to take it. And it was just shown then, they thought the enemy team had all backed off. They thought they had a number of missing, but they just didn't. They were able to then just turn around, engage on, and realise what on earth was going on. Fiddle just using that ultimate, that was a very poor Fiddle ult. Going out there, 90-second cooldown on that. Not able to really keep things up at this rate. They really needed that Fiddle ultimate just to add that extra threat as some AoE magic damage. So just forced to play slightly more defensively, Vayne able to pick up that Banshee spell, realising that most things are going to be magic damage, really wanted to try and bait out those CC effects on herself, rather than try to just dodge them. She's going to get CC'd slightly in fights, so to try and remove some of that spell damage in terms of the resistance and the free spell block, it's going to be quite big for her. It's going to make it extremely difficult for the Lissandra, Sejuani and the Rumble to try and take her down, and she's just going to block the first spell that comes towards her. Lulu just trying to make best use of this Oracle she can, trying to de-ward anything she can to try and give her team some semblance of, if they go for Baron, we know about it. And it's incredibly difficult for her at this point. As, honestly, Blue team just aren't interested in Baron that much, they're just using it as a trap. So Vayne and Jarvan just peeling off from the group saying, okay, we're going to allow you guys to keep the pressure on in mid, we're going to manage to grab the dragon, we're going to try and push this gold lead a little bit further, try and make sure that they don't see us around, they don't immediately go, oh, they're dragon, we can go for Baron, kind of thing. Trying to get baited out that way. But just say, they don't know what we're doing, they have no idea, we're just going to come down. Vayne picking up the red buff just for that added amount of damage to her. Adding that red buff to add the additional true damage and the slow is just going to be absolutely huge on her. Same with Ezreal. If they can get chain those slows in, they can really try and get some damage down. The combination of damage on Jarvan, even with the 140 odd armor that he's got, those shots really hurt him just because of the Elder Lizard, the Mirror Mana, the massive combinations of on-hit effects that Israel's managing to get with those Mystic shots. They're really, really hurting. Blue just choosing to try and push in, trying to see if they can force something to go on. As they're going to try and rotate to bot and try and take this in the tower. Ezreal trying to ulti off the wave, trying to stop them doing so. And it's worked. They've managed to buy themselves enough time just to try and move down, to try and defend it, but in the end they just choose to concede it. They're now basically 7k disadvantage. They also realise the top lane is pushing quite a lot. So realise that they can just play this, the rotation game. As someone goes to try and clear off that top lane, if they got a force, otherwise they're just going to concede it. They're going to be forced to either defend it or lose it, and lose that gold that it also holds. Realising this, they decided to do one last check to make sure there are no wards around, and they're just going to consider baiting for the Baron. They're just going to try and bait it out again. Lulu's going to, I believe they just saw Ezreal. They tried to bait it in, but just couldn't. They realised that the majority of them are in this bush. They realised they're just trying to bait the threat of Baron. They don't actually intend to take it. Lucy goes, well, if you don't think we're going to take it, then we're just going to take it. And just the speed of taking it down with this Vayne, with the level that she's at, with Singed, essentially baiting them in. They get the Baron for free, while the Red team just choose not to do anything. They could see it was just Singed here, but they couldn't see the rest of the enemy team, and they end up just playing the wrong kind of safe in the end. Just with the Baron freely going down, now being essentially 9k behind, having had that weak early game, pulling that lead back, to now be losing it all over again because they were playing too cautiously. It's such a shame. They were able to win out those team fights, but they weren't able to push into them while they were winning them. They weren't able to push that lead to the extent that they really could have. Just rotating and trying to get this exposed inhibitor. They've gone past the weakness they've had in previous games where they just couldn't get in the enemy base. Having this exposed inhibitor and this down tower makes it a lot easier for them. They're able to just take that inhibitor, back off, realise that they're so far ahead at this point, spend the nearly 2k per person they've managed to bring up, and they're just going to come back with the new wave of items, the new wave, and they're just going to start the whole the sieging process all over again. With the 10k deficit, there's not really a lot Vengeance are going to be able to do. Team BZmen they're just playing incredibly safe, and they're just playing the game that's very difficult to counteract, in that it's protect the Vayne. Vayne is such a dominant carry, if she's left unchecked, that as the time goes on, she's just going to get more and more of a threat. And not taking those early team fights that they were winning, and getting more of them, or really pushing them, has really cost Team Vengeance here. But again, just playing very slow, very coordinated play when playing for Team BZmen. They're just sitting around, they know what they want to do, they know how they want to win, but they're just taking their time with it. They realise they don't need to hurry. They realise that if they stall the game out, it's in their favour. But they do need to be careful that they don't allow this item benefit that they have to really start slipping. So they're going to group up as 5, and they're going to try sieging again. They're going to try to just get some poke down. Really going to try. Vayne just focusing his tower, absolutely chunking it down, forcing Rumble to engage an ultimate. Situani managing to catch ultimate in the ultimate, managing to catch Vayne up, trying to pull her up. Really hammering Vayne at the moment. Really trying to get down on her, but they're peeling. They're still managing to peel. Managing to really. Vayne's just killing whoever she wants, whenever she wants. They're just peeling for her. As long as she's alive, her damage source is alive. Rumble getting around out with a slither of health. Lissandra only getting away with a little bit, using that home guard to try and defend off. They've got that Nexus turret down. Not the Nexus turret, the outer turret down. And they've managed to, again, open up this base to make it easier later on. They won the team fight with the Baron buff. They've still able to continue pushing with the likes of Vayne. Vayne is such a threat that Lissandra isn't going to be willing, especially when she's got this Banshee Bella, to come and just deal with her. She's too scary still. So they're just going to have to concede another tower, which means they have more and more exposed things. Rumble forced to Zhonya's, going to die to the Vayne damage again, with Orianna getting the kill. Just another inhibitor taken down. They're going to try and get the third one that they exposed earlier. And it just doesn't seem to be any way back for Spence. They just have let their opportunity slip slightly. They've let the Vayne get to the farmer. She's at the stage where she's getting extremely dangerous. She's not going to be dying anytime soon. She's a must kill, but they don't have it in them to kill her anymore. Her picking up the Infinity Edge as a last item, just to add the icing to the cake, really going to be killing everyone off now. Even Ezreal with the famous blue build, not able to survive, even with the added armour from Iceborne. She's been absolutely shredded. But again, they just come back, they sit themselves down, they come out of the fights, they set themselves up, they go ahead, they get every little buff they can, every little gold source they can, they group themselves back up as 5, and they go and try and push as a 5-man team. With that 11k gold lead, they're really able to just know what to do. And they managed to catch the Ezreal off with just the fiddlesticks and the singed. It's the ward control, just winning them. Jarvan going in, knowing that they're catching up. Vayne's fairly safe. Vayne's really not in any danger. Fiddle just managing to walk out with a slither of health. Vayne just nuking everyone out of this. Just the amount of damage coming up, even with the large amounts of armour. Orianna just playing cleaner with a lot of these, with her auto attacks. And the team's win's going to come down to us. Very slow paced, very coordinated gameplay, realising that if they team fight, they can bring this team fights together.